So my thinking for today was just kind of open it up. If anybody, you or John, who's joining, have any questions or specific things to get into, happy to jump into those. Otherwise, I was going to just demo this little this new tool that we're working on to kind of help people get data into Filecoin more efficiently. Do you have anything that you wanted to go over?
Well, I'll just give you so my full-time job is now working with our Filecoin rigs and also doing some distributed storage for a startup company branched off CBT Nuggets. I was a CBT Nuggets trainer for years, and now I'm working on servers again. One of the things we want to do is leverage IPFS for virtual lab storage and also, to be honest, make some money with Filecoin. So looking at the Textile stuff, I mean, Buckets seems to be the perfect tool for that type of an idea. We want to, be able to have our client, our software client, pull data from IPFS. Stored in Buckets seems ideal, but I haven't had the time. This is all about 2 weeks old for me, so I have not had the time to even look into what the logistics are. I know that my boss would not let us use the hub that exists, but I see that you can install the hub locally and use your own hub. I was hoping there would be a bunch of people here asking better questions than I could, and I could be a fly on the wall. But
yeah, well, so one thing just to direct you where you might want to go for that, for the solution you're looking for, is running the hub on your own is sort of like it's kind of a very like complete sort of product platform. So it's not what you want if you just want buckets. But Buckets actually has a daemon, so you can run Buckets all on your own in front of like whatever kind of user management system or bucket ownership system you want, and it will handle all the file syncing and folder sort of updating and management for you, and pinning to IPFS and all of that. And so you can find that. Are you familiar with Go? Do you have any Go experience?
Know what it is.
Okay.
I have to learn it apparently now, but no, I'm not.
It's
I'm not
okay.
a programmer with it yet.
You don't have to know Go to use Buckets. It actually, in the Textile, in our main Textile repo, Textile, there's a bunch of builds that are spit out of every release, and one of them is actually the Buckets daemon. So you can run it as a binary if you want right now. I was just mentioning that because that package, it is its own sort of self-contained package, but it lives in that repo, and that's just because of the way that Go packages are often architected, where they just live in subfolders within a larger architecture. So there's a folder in there called the Buckets daemon, buckd, I think, and that's where that build spits out of. So if you ever wanted to like tweak the code or like get into it, that's where that exists. But you don't have to jump right into there, because you could you can just go grab that binary and run Buckets however you envision running them.
All right.
And we also have a couple Slack channels in the Filecoin Slack if you're there.
Yes, and I am on the Textile Slack as well.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so just ping us if you have any questions, like just even navigating and you're looking for stuff, or you're trying to think about the right way that these pieces could fit into what you're imagining. We're always happy to like.
All right, I might take you up on that.
Bounce ideas off of, or try to point you to other examples or whatever. So. Cool, and I see John finally made it in. So John, I was just mentioning I'm gonna kind of open it up for any questions you guys have here for a minute, but if we don't have many questions, then I was gonna jump into a demo of a new tool I think might be interesting to you actually.
Okay, is it in lieu of Hub, or it's just like an add-on to Hub?
It's going to be an add-on to Hub. It's in development, and I think the first release may not be directly useful on the Hub, but by the second release we'll have it something that you could use on the Hub as well.
Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Cool. All right, so why don't I jump into that if you guys want. So and the reason I wanted to demo it today is because it's just sort of in the like earliest phase of development, where what would be really valuable is if you have use cases or workflows that you're hitting challenges on and you think this could fit. We'd love to know kind of what features it needs in order to be really complete for your needs. And so the origin of this project is that in the previous, in sort of the first phase of Filecoin launching, we had a lot of teams trying to sort of build pipelines for getting data onto the network. And those pipelines were often, many different storage deals that they wanted to create. And they wanted to do that like, as parallel as possible with as many miners as possible. And they needed to manage, how much data they were caching in IPFS and how much resources they were using. And they needed to manage, potential fault, potentially error deals and recovering from those. Also, we saw use cases where developers were trying to blast a single deal at 10 different miners at a time, and then taking whatever ones existed and then filling it, or succeeded and then filling in the others. But that flow could be sort of zipped up and made sort of more optimal. And so this tool is, we're right now calling it the Filecoin data transfer service. And so it's just going to be called FTS in the command line. And the idea is that you can feed the FTS any sort of format of tasks, and it will take those tasks and start making them conform to whatever storage you want. So for example, you can take a folder of or a directory that contains many different folders and potentially large files, and it will look at that. It will look at that directory and turn every single one of those into a new storage deal request. It will build a pipeline, and it will start queuing those up to move them into Filecoin and IPFS, actually, if you want. So the idea is that this would actually use buckets on the hub in the near future. Right now, it's using Powergate directly. We actually want it to be able to do either, depending on what a developer wants, but the developer doesn't need to switch tools in order to change the backend that they're using. But the idea would be that it would use buckets really effectively, push the data for a deal into a single bucket, wait for that to confirm, and then kick off the archiving flow. And then actually another really cool thing it does is it compiles all the results along the way. And so you have a nice structured data at the end, or actually along the way, for what jobs were created, what deals came out of it, what are all the CIDs, how do they map to the original tasks. And so, like I said, right now you pointed at a directory. In the future, you could pipe deals to it and have it be a continuously running process, or you could feed it a CSV of URLs, for example. So let me jump in to show you that what we've got here. All right, so quick preview of the Filecoin data transfer service. So it's just called FTS in the command line, and you can kind of see the it's MVP here. So very simple. There's just the one command to run this thing. So it takes a lot of different knobs for tuning how your pipeline runs. And so that's just because a lot of this is running on your system. So how many different concurrent deals do you want to run? What will the backend support, so that you kind of want this client to know about what the limits of either your hub account are, or the Powergate endpoint are. And so, but the primary input method here is just to pass it a folder with some organized tasks. And so I have that here. So let's just open this folder up and I'll show you. So here I have a bunch of different folders, each containing a data set. You can also do, let me just, you can also do files right in this root here, and it'll treat either one as a different task. So, right, so so there are all my tasks that I want to push to Filecoin. So all I'm going to do is do FTS run, and then I'm going to give it my folder, and I want to, so I want to pipe these to the standard out because I just want to see the results here. And I'm just going to do a dry run to take a look at what this would do. And you can see that it basically is going to start a storage task for each of those folders, as well as we should see the file becomes its own as well. And then it completes the tasks and spits out the outputs here. If I didn't pipe it to the standard out, I could also have it output CSVs right now. We could do CSVs, JSON, whatever, obviously, but right now it spits out CSV for each of the output types. The output types are errors, jobs, so every sort of task becomes a job, and then deals, and every task can become multiple deals. So I spit those out into 3 different output files. And so if we remove the pipe flag, that's how that would happen. So we can go ahead and actually run this, and it will take a few minutes. And you can see I'm just spitting out the results here as well. Okay, so what is this doing? It's taking the limits of how many different parallel tasks do I want to be running, and it is spinning up a pipeline in each of those concurrent task queues. And then it's going to each task in my folder and putting them into one of the queues. The first step is it goes and moves this data onto IPFS. It's doing that with a remote IPFS node. In this case, I'm using Powergate as a backend, so it moves it to the Powergate's IPFS node. And so that's if you have used Powergate before, that's equivalent to the staging step. When this runs on the hub, that will be equivalent to creating a bucket and pushing the bucket for each of these tasks. So the result at the end of that is a CID. And then the next step in the task is that it will take that CID and create a storage job for it. A couple things that this does nice is it will actually manage that IPFS caching layer for you so that you don't blow up all of your caching space. And so it will nicely stay under a certain level of used IPFS space and wait for it to clear up. And when the way it clears up is by getting moved to Filecoin. And so, okay, so it's going to move each of these to staging, get the CID, kick off a job. If you're familiar with Powergate, the way that this is doing it under the hood is with the storage config. And so there's quite a few more knobs that I'll add here for how you want these deals to move onto the network. I think the default way is going to be that every sort of task becomes one storage deal first, and then progressively moves to more storage deals up to whatever limit you want as they are successful. So it wouldn't be one task trying to push out to 10 different miners at the same time. It would be one task pushing out to 1 or 2, and then queuing up more as those are successful, and then moving those out of the way and moving to the next ones. But you can see here it's chunked through, and it's getting a bunch of successful storage deals on the network, moving those out of the queue, moving on to the next tasks, and we're done. And so I have the sort of all this debug output going on, but the key thing is that it's created these outputs, and so we can see those right here. So every task became a job. And so these are outputs that a lot of teams were trying to manage how they created in their own pipelines. And so I sort of just automated that. You can see actually that the stage didn't get updated, a little fix I need there. But so every sort of path within my task folder got calculated bytes, became a job ID. And then every job became a deal on the network. And the way this worked is, again, it used a storage config. Here I had it set up to just store the data with one miner. And so everyone here, every successful one had just one miner success. And the output here is a bunch of nice structured data, again, showing you all the information that you'd need to get that data back off the network, what miner it's on, what the proposal CID is, everything there. And so that's cool. And that's basically it. And so you can take this, fire it up on a bunch of tasks, leave it, come back in a few days and check the results of moving all that data to the network. And then what I think will be really cool is making it so that you can just run this system and keep pushing new tasks at it as you need them, and a lot of other really neat things that we hope to make possible. So again, the goal here is to make this run on custom Powergate instances or on the Textile hub, and really help you move lots of data to the Filecoin network. So that's it. It's the demo.
Hey, Andrew, awesome. Is it same thing like Hub? Will it create links so that, like, let's say a user, you push a whole bunch of stuff and the user could just click on the link and then open up the different, okay.
Yeah, totally. So the hub will have some new configurations that I'll work on, which would be like, do you want the bucket to remain live on IPFS? So that's like the hot storage in Powergate. Do you want the bucket to remain live on IPFS after you've got it in Filecoin, or do you want it to archive and sort of collapse and wait for you to pull it back out of Filecoin later? And so if you leave it on IPFS, then all those links would be available to you exactly, and we can make those part of the output files as well, for sure.
Okay. Is there any extra cost to leaving it on IPFS as well?
There is a storage cost on the hub because that's like data, that's like real data just on disk on IPFS nodes.
Okay. So was that kind of like I opened the account that you sent an email, I think it was last week.
Yeah.
And I opened up an account. So I guess like charges for that to keep the stuff on IPFS would come out of something like that.
Yep, totally.
Okay, so if you were going to charge for your data and people pulling it off of Filecoin, you could kind of integrate that into maybe the charge that you're charging the end users to taking your information out with, like add it into it, or you think that would be possible? Or?
Yeah, that's possible. We're actually, so explain what you mean by users. Are you using the Textile API keys to create users with different pub keys, or is this something custom?
Well, something custom, like people, using my curated data set and pulling stuff out of it. And so ultimately I'm gonna try and monetize it. So I'm thinking of if I have the cost of adding this onto it and having to pay for IPFS, can I fold it into what I would charge people to use the curated data set?
Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty reasonable. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. In this new release or in releases coming shortly, will there be some way that I can sign and verify my addresses so that it would be included in SR2 phase 2?
Yeah, fully. I think it might already be there, but if it's, I saw Aaron from my team sharing the command to do it, and I don't recall if it's because the command is actually already there or because it's coming out. He has the pull request out right now for a bunch of changes for how those commands work. So I think it should be coming out shortly if it's not already in there. I'm fairly sure it's in there, but we can double check after the call.
All right, cool. Yeah, number 422. I followed up with him and I asked him about that, and he's really cool. So yeah. I know that he's going to do that. Jeez. This is really cool. This is very, 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 very cool. But if I have any other, I know there's a question that I'm forgetting, but maybe I can hit you guys up on Slack whenever.
Try to always be there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show this off today, so
absolutely
happy you all joined.
Yeah, it's very, very, very cool.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, with that, I think we'll go back to our regularly scheduled days.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.